Hello and welcome back to Down the Track. Today was supposed to be day 3 review. It's still the day 3 review, but it's more of a test match review. The match is done. It's over. Unbelievable scenes in Adelaide. India 36 all out. Yes, you heard me right. 36 all out. It was a 50-run lead, and they could just make 80 runs. I mean, Australia just needed 80 runs in the end because of that horror show with the bat and some excellent bowling from the Australians. Pat Cummins and Hazlewood, bringing back memories of Gillespie, McGrath, Brett Lee as well. Some very accurate, immaculate bowling. But I have with me my brother, Yusuf Ismail. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good, bro. Like, it's very surprising. Like, I was being negative. It's like, yeah, India will get 150, 160, 170. It's like, no, it's not even that. So it was shocking. Like, it's not even like, oh my God, like India suck or anything. It's just like, oh my God, what the heck? How is this even possible?
Inexplicable. I was in shock for the whole night. I just couldn't believe what was happening because I think Australia bowled really well, but it was not a 36 all-out wicket. It wasn't even a 50 all-out wicket. It wasn't a 100 all-out wicket. I think they should have at least aimed for 160, 170, 200, which would have given them a 250 lead, and that was easily achievable. I think yes. Whatever they nicked, there was no play and misses. It was all nicks and catches, right? Sometimes you get those play and misses, and then you end up with 60 for 300 for three. But it wasn't like that. Everything they nicked went. But I think they should have shown a bit more skill, a bit more patience. Yes, they weren't attacking, but there were a few shots where they could have easily left it. They were just getting late on the ball, and that hint of movement that Cummins and Hazlewood were providing, it just did the better of India. And one thing is for sure, these guys are very, very probing. So you need to be extra patient. As a batsman, you need to know, okay, this guy's going to keep bowling there, keep bowling there. I need to show patience. There's so much time in the game. You don't need to play. Yes, I know it's difficult sitting here and saying that, but you need to have that concentration if you're playing at the highest level.
Yeah, and I don't think it was to do with the fact that the pitch deteriorated so much. I don't think the pitch was doing that much. And they were talking, I think the biggest complaint from Indian fans was, oh, the pink ball talks a lot under lights. It's like, I think it was doing more in the day.
It was
right?
morning, man, like daytime.
It was
The
morning.
bright sun. I mean, it was the first session, so you can say at the afternoon session, 2 o'clock is bright sunshine. Bright
like,
sunshine.
You can argue it's day one of the test match, right? So it's like just a new ball. There's nothing like disadvantages for the batsman. It was just for like Hazlewood 5 wickets for 8 runs. That's insane. And then 5 overs, and it's like you watch the highlights. There's nothing but wickets in the entire highlights because he's just hitting it on that sixpence, like we talked about, like 9 in length. He's just getting that. It's fine. You can claim, oh, it was luck that he got every edge and there wasn't a play and miss. But there was something wrong with the Indian batting. There was definitely a collapse. It wasn't a 36 all-out wicket, and by far. 150, 160 all-out, you can argue that, all right, maybe, there was something in the pitch. They tried, but 36 all-out in any condition is too much in my opinion. There was definitely something with the Indian batting.
Yeah, they've played in tougher conditions in the last couple of years. They played in England, they played in New Zealand. I think those are tougher conditions. Here, yes, it wasn't the greatest Australian wicket, but if you showed patience that they did show in the first innings, you saw you can get the runs. They scored 240. Maybe they might have not scored 240, but they could have easily gone to 150, 180, close to 200 if they just showed some application. It was not a 36 or 50 or 100, like I said, wicket. So yeah, I think poor batting. Unbelievable bowling. Just a word on Cummins and Hazlewood. These guys don't give up, man. They just keep bowling there. The accuracy, I just don't understand. Yes, you say patience for batsmen, but for bowlers, they need patience and stamina to keep coming in and bowling at the same spot. I think that's a lot of skill. And this is
same pace also.
Same pace, same line length, exactly over there. I think that was unbelievable skill by them. And this is the greatest bowling attack right now in the world, 100%. I've seen them.
You think so? Do you think this is the best bowling attack?
Yeah, for any conditions, because they have Nathan Lyon who can rip it up in the subcontinent. They have Cummins, Hazlewood, and Stark in English conditions, New Zealand conditions, South Africa conditions. You'll back them any day. And where else, like in the world, do you want them to perform? They can perform.
So
anywhere.
do you think would you rate them up with that 2005 Ashes lineup of like Gillespie, McGrath, Lee, and Shane Warne? Of course, at the end of their careers, they were much more revered and they had better stats, no doubt. Like McGrath, like each of them is like a Hall of Famer kind of. If you had a Hall of Fame in cricket, they'd be Hall of Famers, right? But based on right now, do you think they're up there?
I wouldn't compare the two. I think that was far superior. The McGrath, Warne, Gillespie, they did it for so many years. They did it in every single format. We've seen this Aussies Nathan Lyon doesn't play one days. Like even if he does, he's not as effective as he is in the test matches. Shane Warne could
Yeah,
play any format in the world. So
yeah,
that lineup was far more superior, but this is the best lineup right now in world cricket.
currently, yeah.
Yeah,
Is there anyone you think that comes close to them? Because honestly, India didn't bowl badly. Like they have a really good lineup. Like Mohammad Shami, Umesh Yadav stepped up, and Jasprit Bumrah is probably up there as the top three test bowlers, to the top five maybe. Ashwin is in form. So like, do you think there's anyone close to these Australian bowlers?
I would say the Indian bowlers are close in for the first 6 wickets, but then when the tail comes on, I think they're nowhere near close to the Australian bowling lineup. The Australian bowling lineup, when the Indian tail comes up, they're 5-6 runs and it's done. Over here, you're making them score 80 runs. Even if it's 20, 30 runs, I would give you that. 80 runs, they were 111 for 7 Australia. They went and made 180. Those 70 runs made a difference because even if India got all out for 36, Australia would be chasing 150, 160. There'd be something to
And
play
that's
with.
still, you never know. There's like, at
Yeah,
least it'll be more
I'm not
competitive,
defending.
right?
I'm not defending the batsman. I think 36 is not acceptable. That's where they lost the game. They didn't lose the game because of that, but it did contribute, and it will affect them going on in other series. We saw that in England, Sam Curran stayed. In South Africa, Philander scored runs. In New Zealand, Jamieson scored runs, and now Lyon, Stark, and Pat Cummins are scoring runs. So I don't think that's acceptable. If you want to be the
All
best
right,
bowling lineup in the world, you can't give the tail 80, 90 runs.
sure. And just
They're really
leaving,
good, but they're really
yeah,
good, but not on that Australian
they're
level.
not as ruthless at the end. They don't
Yeah,
finish well.
yeah, which is a big problem. Yeah.
So just playing off that sentiment, like I think I read an article on the Field, which is like the Scrolls cricket or sports page, and they're talking about how like the author was talking about how they've identified certain trends of Indian cricket when they play abroad in test matches, and series after series they've failed to address these issues, except for that one series in Australia where they performed and Rishabh Pant had a blinder of a series. Kohli's played very well, but he's basically said that like, okay, against the playing outside the off stump, finishing the tail, India's batting, so there's certain trends. So like, what do you think India does going forward in this series, but even at a longer term perspective, right? We can talk about first longer term, and then we can talk about the specifics because they're going to be losing Kohli. Mohammad Shami might not play because he had a really bad injury too. So like, India is in the best spot of bowler. So like, what do you think about those two things?
I think number one problem which I've seen, yes, they played 2 warm-up games, which is good, more preparation than other tours, but generally that's been a problem, lack of preparation. But here, there's a lack of planning that goes from the management to the coach to the everywhere. There's lack of planning. You see Australia, when Pujara comes in, you have a leg slip, even for the fast bowlers, you have a short leg there. When Kohli comes, there's an extra gully over there. They know exactly for each batsman. When India are bowling, yes, they bowl really well, a lot of skill, but you don't see that planning. And suddenly when the tail comes, the field opens up. These guys, yeah, when the tail comes, they'll even Umesh Yadav hit a 4 or it almost went for 6. After that, what happened? He got out in a couple of balls. Australia are not bothered. They keep an attacking field. So there is planning over there. Even with the batsmen, there's a method like Tim Payne. There were some drop catches here and there, but he knows how to work with the tail. He attacked from ball one. There was a method. You could see that the top order was being defensive. He came and played his shot. So he had a plan. So I think there's a lack of planning, especially in the bowling side of things. They need to be planned more, but even in the batting side, you need to prepare better on these tours. That's one problem. And then yes, team selection again. I don't think Prithvi Shaw should not have played this test match in my opinion. They didn't. I don't know. Yes, you want to back players, you want to back youngsters, but when there's a huge problem, it's not just a mental issue. This is a technical flaw. It's a cricketing flaw. If it's a mental issue, then okay, fine, back him. Tell him it's it's one innings, he can turn it around like Burns did. He scored a 50 after such a bad domestic season. But this is not a technical. This is not only a mental issue. It's a technical issue. If the guy has such a big problem on Sharjah pitches where it's supposed to be a road and you can hit 300 in a 20 over game, I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean. But
yeah, because with the Shaw, like you talk about giving up. Yeah, you're talking about giving a player time to like settle and stuff like that. The entire IP, fine, this year because of COVID, cricket schedule has been affected and the domestic scene and everything. But like throughout consistently an IPL tournament where he has not performed, the same flaws were exposed there.
Exactly. Why is he not performing? Why is he not performing?
I think mentally he's not there, and I think his technique is not there outside of stump. I think there's too much. Look, it's both. I think he's got too much pressure. I think Ravi Shastri said that he's a combination of Sehwag, Tendulkar, and Lara. It's like that's a big burden to put on a player who's so young, and that obviously hypes him up. And then when he can't perform because he's got a technical flaw, it becomes doubly hard, right? If you don't have that pressure on you, then maybe you have the humility to say that I'm going to step back, I'm going to go back into the Ranji scene, I'm going to go back to the Nets. He's still young, but I think it's a combination of both, and he needs to go back to the drawing board, take a year off. Like, he hasn't maybe even recovered from his ban, like the mental impact that ban had on him, right? So it's like he needs time off. I think Shubman Gill is primed, and going into the discussion for the next test match, Shubman Gill must play. Maybe he might not perform, but he's proven at least throughout the IPL and the warm-up games he deserves a slot.
Yeah, but that's the problem. After you lose a test match like this and stuff, you're making, that's the thing. That's lack of planning. You're doing it. It's like a reaction. I
Yeah, it's a
completely
bigger
agree with you.
issue.
He should play. I agree with you. Shubman Gill should play, but you knew this was coming.
Why
So
wasn't he? Yeah, why wasn't he playing in this match?
yeah, it's a small. It's not. It's like it's one part of the whole mess. It's not the only mess. There's a lot of other issues there, but it's a big part, right? Team selection. You're getting it wrong. You got it wrong in South Africa. I think they benched Rahane for the first game, and then he came in the last test match. He scored a 50. In England, they benched Pujara for a game. And then he came in Australia and was the highest scorer. And now you're playing Prithvi Shaw. You're not playing the likes of Shubman Gill. You have they're both going to come in. I think Shubman Gill and Rahul. But it's a reaction.
Rahul will come in for Kohli, you think?
Yeah, but you don't have any other option. I don't think so. So
Rohit Sharma's coming back in the third
test match. Yeah. So it's with Shami's injury. I think that's the series. It's very difficult to come back from here. If they do win it, it's going to be
hats off. It'll be one of the greatest victories.
It'll be a miracle, but I don't see them winning the series from here, especially with that injury. Even if they won this test match, I would say it's tough because Kohli's leaving. Because his batting, they're going to miss his batting. We saw what he can do in the first test match. But apart from that, there's a lot of issues. And you can't lose. If you lost the test match, I don't think it wouldn't have been that much of a problem with the way they lost. This is going to be a mental scar. It's going to keep recurring in their minds the whole series. That Cummins and Hazlewood, whenever they come to both, there's going to be anxiousness in that.
And Australians, they prey on this mental thing. They're so mentally tough. They don't let things phase them, and they use it. They psych people down. Like they'll stare them down. They're very aggressive, and their nature of cricket is very aggressive. So they'll take advantage of it.
Yeah.
So what do you think is going to be India's play in the next test? And do you think Australia will change anything, or they'll stick with the same team?
No, I think Australia will stick with everything. Maybe if they want to give one of their paces a rest, I don't think they will. But like if they want to, they can bring in Patterson. But I think they'll play the same unit for another test match. Win, get a 2-0 lead, then they can rotate. But I think they'll play the same team. If David Warner is fit, he'll come in. And then Matthew Wade either will drop down the order or he'll come in for Burns.
Just the thing on Matthew Wade, he's been very surprising. Even the limited overs, he's been very aggressive. Like he suddenly changed. Like I never rated him highly, but
he had 100 as well.
Proven himself.
He had 100, I think, last summer as well in the middle order in Australia. So I think he's a better middle order batsman. I think when Warner comes in, he'll open. But he's picked up his game, especially the fact that Payne is the captain and the keeper to still stay in the team. I think it shows a lot and the skill he has, and they're backing him. So credit to him.
And India, what do you think? Assuming Shami is injured, what do you think the lineup is going to be? Does Rishabh Pant come in, or is it going to be too chaotic with the planning? Like, what do you think?
The thing is, I rate Saha as a much better keeper. I think he's one of the best keepers in the world right now. But I think Rishabh Pant needs to come in just to add a different kind of flavor to the team, be a bit more attacking. If he can get 40-50 runs at the bottom at a good rate, I think it'll put Australia on the back foot. So he needs to come in to the team. In the bowling, you go either Siraj and Saini. I would give Siraj a go because I think Saini in the limited overs, his confidence was a bit low. And I don't know how it's going to be, but I would just try Siraj. But you can go either way. It's not a big difference. And I think in the batting, Shubman Gill comes in for Shaw and Rahul comes in for Kohli because Kohli has to leave.
Do you think there is a place for both Saha and Pant? Is Pant good enough to play only as a batsman or no? Just throwing it out there.
You could.
Considering Kohli is no longer there, and like they don't have many more attacking with that intent, right? Like Pujara is a defensive player. Vihari, he's not aggressive. He's more on the defensive side. Rahul in tests, we don't know how he's.
But the thing is, if Saha is not going to give you more than 10-15 runs, then but Vihari probably has the potential. So then you have to look at it from that perspective. But if you're looking at it from the keeper's perspective, then ideally, yes, Saha Punt plays as a batsman and Saha keeps. So it's actually an option that they can consider. But maybe I just think they'll give Vihari another shot because he's last
He
series.
hasn't done bad. Like
Yeah,
he's
in the
fine. He's
last tour,
not.
he has a 50 as well under his belt. So I don't think they'll mess with that now. Maybe after the second test.
And then Agarwal retains his spot up top.
Yeah, he retains his spot. He debuted in the Boxing Day test last time. That's where his debut was made. So he'll be back there. And I think India have to win the toss and bat first here. There's going to be no option. It's going to be a flat pitch. It's going to be a bit slow. And yeah, they just have to hope for the best, be very patient. But it looks difficult because this Australian lineup right now is looking
With
next
Warner still in the wings.
yeah, Warner will definitely change that. He'll give them that 50-100 run opening stand, so he'll definitely change that.
And just like before we end the review, like I think this is the thing which I get frustrated about with India over the years is that it's the same formula. Not much has changed. And then okay, you win a historic series in Australia, and then you're praised and everything is on a high. But this has not changed in the last 10, 15 years, maybe even. So like what does Indian cricket do? It's all great to be kings and tigers at home, but you need to perform elsewhere, right? It's like I remember in one series, I think England came to India and they dominated, or they won the series, or at least they tied it. Australia played very well; they almost won a series in India. So it's like, what does Indian cricket do? Like, what do you think? Just a few closing words. Like, what? Like, even after this series, what do they do?
I mean, it's difficult to say, but I don't think the thing is, it's been since I've been watching cricket, India has struggled away from home. Yes, under Ganguly, they had a couple of really good away series. I think they tied in England and they tied in Australia.
Yeah.
But they didn't win. But they've had this problem. But the problem I have now is that you're saying you're the number one team. You have the best bowling lineup in the world. Your coach has come and said that 100 times. So if you're saying that, you need to back it up then. You can't come and get 36 all out. So I think, yes, it has been a constant problem. And I think other teams also struggle. Like we saw Pakistan go there last year. They struggled in Australia. New Zealand went there. They struggled as well. But they don't come and say that, like, we're going to think. So like if you're saying that we're the greatest team, then you have to live up to that. You can't just win in India and say that we're the greatest team. You need to win there as well. So if you want to say that you're the greatest, you have to win there. And for that to happen, you need to plan much better. I think there's some issues in that coaching staff. They need to change that up 100%. They need to plan better. They need to, they need to have different methods for different conditions. They need to prepare better. They need to have more warm-up games. And they need to, before, like these Aussies have been planning since 2 years for this series because they lost. As soon as they lost, they'll never forget when they lose.
Yeah.
They don't care if it's Smith is not there, one is there. For them, a loss is a loss. They've been planning. So you need something like that. You need proper planning. You need a lot of focus. And this team has a lot of talent. The Indian team. It's just that I think they need to get their
Loads
mind
of
focused.
talent.
Yeah. So they need to get their mind focused. They have a lot of, and this bowling lineup for India is the best. Like India hasn't had a bowling lineup like this ever. But they need to utilize that and they need to finish off the tail. They need to improve on that weakness. And it can be done. What are you saying? If you can get the top 6 out, you can get Steve Smith out for 1, you're struggling to get out thing. Of course you can fix that if you have that much.
And there's an issue with the tactics or something. It's not talent.
Of course, you're opening up the field. They come, one guy hits a 4-6, you're opening up the field, he's taking singles, and then they're batting for longer. When you open up the field, he's just going to take a single, and then you'll bring it up a bit, and he gets settled, the batsman. Let him hit from ball 1 and he will get out. So tactically, and also bowlers as well, I think they change their mindset when the tail ender comes. They try to take him out too quickly because I think they also realize that we're giving the tail too many runs. So they try something different. They just first bowl that short ball and then bowl those yorkers. You can get them out. If you can get the top 6 out, this is not a problem. So it's not about the skill. It's about, understanding your mistakes and learning from it.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's what it is, I think. And 36 all out, it's unacceptable. And to make sure that it doesn't repeat again, they need to know what they did wrong and sit down and see where they played the shot, where these guys are bowling. Look at the videos of Hazlewood and Cummins. Keep looking at it. Mentally prepare yourself for the next game and understand, okay, fine, these guys are going to bowl here. I need to switch on and play a bit differently. Change something in your technique if you have to, but you can wear them down. Like, they're still human. They will make mistakes at some point. But yes, they're exceptional at their level, but you can wear them down because you have that skill as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but I
I
think
think we've covered everything in this test match. It's like, the obvious, the non-obvious, and I
yeah,
think
just quickly.
my
Yeah,
conclusion is the same, that India is looking at a very uphill battle to even stay alive in the series.
yeah, it's going to be a tough ask, but you never know. It's cricket; they can bounce back, but yeah, it's going to be tough. Quickly, your man of the match.
I'll still give it to Tim Payne, man. He's the difference in the innings. Like, if he was dismissed earlier on, I think 150, 170 would have been a way more challenging total. So he led from the front, and he grinded it out. I'd give it to Tim Payne, followed by Hazelwood, because his bowling was insane.
Yeah, I think Hazelwood flipped it on that third day, but I'll give it to Cummins. I think in the first innings he took 3 wickets, second innings 4 wickets. That's 7 wickets right there, and he started the whole thing. Like the first 2 3 wickets were his, right? So and then Hazelwood came in, and
Yeah,
by then, and he got the wicket of Kohli as well, Cummins. So I think for me it is Cummins, but you can give any of them. They
yeah,
all
anyone.
played.
Yeah.
They all played
Team
amazing.
effort.
Yeah, it was a team effort. Excellent performance from Australia. But thank you so much for joining me. Hopefully, I'll get you back before the second test, and we'll discuss that as well. We'll looking forward to that as well. Melbourne Boxing Day is going to be fun.
Boxing Day is always great in Australia for test matches. Always look forward to that test. It's always a
Yeah,
special occasion.
yep. And shout out to our co-host. He'll be joining us soon as well, and it'll be a lot of fun to discuss and get his views as well on this series so far.
Yep. Shout out to Don.
Bro,
Miss you, bro.
miss you, bro. Take care. Okay, have a good night.
Good night.